Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody. How are you? I hope you're enjoying. This is a holiday sponsored by the government that killed the guy who the holiday's for. Isn't that funny?
That's funny.
That's fun. We're here with Nick Cruse is with us. He's a social critic, journalist, and commentator. He's also the co-host of the Revolutionary Blackout Network. Please welcome Nick Cruse. Hey, Nick.
What's poppin', my friends, my family? I'm glad you invited me on today because I like this MLK stuff that comes from the warmongering liberals. It drives me crazy. You got Joe Biden, Jim Crow Joe, one of the most anti-black politicians in the modern era, tweeting about MLK. This day always drive me crazy, Jimmy. So it always does.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, how does a black guy actually feel about all the bullshit that the establishment says about Martin Luther King, the same establishment that betrayed him, killed him, and turned on him when he decided to talk against the Vietnam War? So when he became an anti-war spokesperson, that's when the Democrats turned on, everybody turned on him, right?
Yeah, and it drives me crazy. I had to log off. I can't stand the virtue signaling that comes from liberals and Democrats. Jim Crow Joe, the Democratic Party, you have people who support sending weapons to Nazis in Ukraine, eulogizing MLK when he stood against militarism and anything you guys are against. So what we do at RBN and Revolutionary Blackout, we try to take our politics back to where our revolutionary leaders was. People who were anti-capitalist, the socialists, the Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton, MLK, Malcolm X. These people was not Western chauvinists. They did not cheer for war. MLK was hated by the vast majority of white America because he spoke out against the Vietnam War. Meanwhile, we now governed by Black Congressional Caucus, who all for war against China, all for arming Nazis in Ukraine. MLK be rolling in his grave if you look at the black leaders that we have right now. So I implore the people in my community, I'm trying my best. Let's abandon this scourge of neoliberalism. That's what I wrote about in my first op-ed in my Substack. We need to reject the Barack Obamas, reject the Hakeem Jeffries, and embrace our revolutionary roots. Reject the neoliberalism that we are faced with now.
Well, you would think that America electing a black man president twice would be the culmination of Martin Luther King's dream. It was not.
Absolutely,
it was not. It was that was kabuki theater, because Barack Obama did not represent. Well, I don't know if I can say this because I'm white, but he didn't help out the black community. Blacks got poorer under him.
That's why I'm loud. That's why I'm loud about it, because if you or anyone, I've seen it. Like whenever the white allies and comrades call out Barack Obama and Jim Clyburn, they call it racist. So the liberal mind, they can't handle it when Revolutionary Blackout, young black people are calling out Barack Obama, which you see more of. Barack Obama was a great win for the establishment in the short term, but I think he's going to be a long-term menace because he radicalized and turned a lot of young black people against the system. Like in polls, it showed that black Americans have the highest anti-capitalist sentiment. And I think that's because of people like Barack Obama who betrayed us. MLK would not be happy with the current state of things. We elected the first black president, and he's responsible for destroying black wealth. Him and Eric Holder, the first black attorney general. Racial income inequality right now is worse than it was in the height of the 1960s because of the first black president. How crazy is that?
Well, he was not he might have, his skin color, definitely, he was African American, but he definitely did not, he represented the establishment. That's who he represented.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to call those people out because the establishment learned a new trick where they have the Kareem Jean-Pierre's, the Lloyd Austin. And they have black people, they put them in a position of power, and they are neocons. So, Jimmy, I see what you're saying, but I don't separate that blackness because it's a long-standing tradition of black people selling us out, selling out the global working class in order to climb this imperial capitalist system. So it's something that we have to acknowledge. It's not new. That were the slave traders when we had black people portrayed us back then. That the Uncle Ruckuses, that's the black slave the house hand that used to betray the field Negroes. They was more loyal to the master than us. These are this is not new. W.B. Du Bois wrote about this, the long-standing tradition of these black people selling us out. So and the liberals learned from that. So now they got all the black faces in high places now. And then they're like, oh look, we got Ketanji Brown Jackson. So we should be excited about the state of the black community because of that. And RBN, we see through that and we call it the material. And we call out Jim Crow Joe in the Democratic Party for being as responsible for the damage in the black community as anyone else, period. Donald Trump wished he could do the kind of damage people like Joe Biden has done. Go ahead, Jimmy.
There's nobody more responsible for Donald Trump becoming president than Barack
Absolutely.
Obama. Than Barack Obama. And if you talk to any black and brown people in the cities that Hillary Clinton lost in Wisconsin, Michigan, they'll tell you that we voted for Barack Obama twice and our lives got worse. Everybody thought just voting in a black man, everything was going to get better. It didn't. It got worse because Barack Obama doesn't represent black America. Barack Obama represents Wall Street and the military industrial complex, health insurance companies and big pharma and fossil fuels. He bragged that they had more oil drilling in the United States. They produced more barrels of oil under his presidency than any other president. He bragged about this stuff. So this guy was not, Barack Obama wasn't a lefty. He wasn't a champion of African Americans. He was the fake face of the champion of America. He was actually the champion of corporate America, which is why we got Donald Trump, because those same black people who voted for him twice and white people who voted for him twice wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. They wouldn't do it because they did it for him twice and they got stabbed in the front. So you would say that Martin Luther King Day reminds you of all this betrayal. And would you say it pisses you off instead of it being a joy?
Yeah, that's why I have extreme anger towards the Eric Adams. I have Eric Adams derangement syndrome. Yeah, I don't focus on the Marjorie Taylor Greene. They don't govern me. I govern by Emmanuel Cleaver, Quentin Lucas, black leaders in Kansas City here. Quentin Lucas sold out our community to real estate developers and landlords. And now the cost of living is higher than ever. There's been a black exodus from the city because black people can't afford housing. We are 13% of the population, 40% of the homeless population, because we got the black mayors all over the country, Jimmy. All the largest city, black mayors in charge of, but they're increasing police funding while leaving millions on the streets. They are literally invested in our oppressors. They are siding with real estate development companies, and they are people governing and destroying our cities. Marjorie Taylor Greene governs a red state. That she governs a bunch of rednecks. She don't govern us. It's these black mayors. It's these black politicians that destroy our community. So that's who I have my focus. That's who I have my eye on. I have my eye on Quentin Lucas and the Black Congressional Caucus that continue to lead us off the hill, lead us off a mountain. So that's where my anger comes from. And MLK Day always try to remind people that he would not be on your side. He would look at the Jim Clyburns and these black oligarchs who funding war with disdain.
Well said. You're right. And that you're going to get, so I keep my attention on the pretend lefties in the Democratic Party because I think they do more damage because it makes people think that they have someone fighting for them. And if they understood that everybody in government isn't their friend and you need to organize against them, that would happen quicker. But because people see the AOCs and the Jamal Bowmans and the Cori Bushes, they think that these people are fighting for them because they look like them. They're not. This is called identity politics. Barack Obama was the perfect person to example of that. He was a black guy and he got into office and he ruled for the white elite Wall Street class. That's who Barack Obama, so that's what we're stuck with. We're stuck with identity politics. And you know, the joke I do in my act is if it was 1860, the Democrats would not be fixing slavery. They'd be bragging about their first transgendered slave owner. And that's what Barack Obama is. That's what we're left with today, as Joe Biden won't give us a living wage, won't give us health care that won't bankrupt us. Joe Biden won't do a fucking thing for us. He won't negotiate nothing. He's cutting Medicare. He's screwing over us. And anyway, that's what I also think of all that stuff.
There was a poll, Jimmy, on your point. And this is what drives us crazy at Revolutionary Blackout, how liberals weaponize identity politics. There was a poll when Black Americans said they want structural change. They're not really worried about this virtue signaling language. Like literally what they said. But most Americans, when you ask white Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, for some reason they think in order to solve racism, you got to have these literally virtue signaling events. You got to have George Floyd Day. They think doing stuff like that solve racial problems. But Black people, we're asking for, we need to solve structural problems like the homeless issue. Like the fact that we are underpaid, the fact that we live in a prison industrial complex system. These are the issues that we're focused on. But the ruling class wants to focus on trivial, nonsense culture wars, representation that does not address the material needs of the people that are being victimized under the system. But we want to focus on that and build the white working class, the poor, Black, working class, Indigenous, Latino people to overthrow these capitalists that is harming all our lives.
Everybody, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles in January and February in Los Angeles. And then we're going to Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets and become a premium member while you're there.